When you look at a collection as big as mine, you often sometimes miss a movie that you really wanted to talk about that escaped during the cracks of these DVD walls. And sadly, there are some, I'm sadly to say, that did miss the target, like one in particular. And since I cannot talk about this one being the Blair Witch Project because of the copyright strike, because fuck whoever copyright striked it, we are instead going to talk about this one. They Live, directed by John Carpenter and starring the legendary wrestler Rowdy Roddy Piper. Now, this is obviously when Rowdy Roddy Piper wanted to be somewhat of a film icon, so would They Live as popular as his popularity was in wrestling? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to put on our sunglasses and see if we can see aliens. Wait a minute. I can't see shit in these. Anyways, let's review They Live. They Live stars Rowdy Roddy Piper as an unknown, unnamed man who's the protagonist of the movie. He wants to go and work for a construction company in a small town where everything seems to be sort of the not normal type of variety. And of course, he does get hired on at the construction company, but he can't help but feel that something's off in this city. Upon investigating, he runs into a friend, played by legendary Keith David, and he runs into a small little I guess, industrial area that is run kind of a rundown city, sort of like a hobo town, or from legend, mostly like Hooverville from the 1920s, or whenever Hoover served. But there's a crazy priest that's actually played by a blind man that keeps warning people about something that's happening in the town. Nobody knows precisely what it is, but they keep intercepting the signal and telling them not to listen to the TV, not to listen to the radio, just pay attention to whatever that they want, but don't believe everything else. Sort of like a medium of TV controlling everyday lives. Roddy Piper is one of these people who doesn't believe everything that he sees and he thinks that something's going on, to actually to the point where he believes that there is a lot that's actually going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about. But when he tries to ask about the church, nobody wants to tell him what's going on. So Roddy takes it into himself to do some investigating. And Roddy finds a whole lot of things, including video camera setup, tape recording, the whole 9 yards, but cannot believe what he actually is seeing, including a sign that says They Live. So Roddy's confusion just continues to grow as he doesn't know what's actually going on, but he believes the people inside the church who say that there is something not quite right with our town. Piper tried to share this information with Keith David, but he doesn't believe him and he just wants Piper to leave everything alone. But Piper knows better than that, and he wants to keep investigating everything to the point where he actually goes snooping around, kind of James Bond style, going about the town trying to figure out what is going on. But when the authorities, above everything else, start attacking, Roddy Piper sneaks off with a box. But not just any box, in case you're thinking like there's a head in the box, there isn't. It's a box filled with something else, particularly sunglasses, but of the special variety. These sunglasses help Roddy see what isn't normal, sort of like a way that a person can look at things in a different perspective the sunglasses allowed him to, and he allowed him to see the aliens as well as the signs that the aliens have about that humans are resistant towards. So what does Roddy do with this exactly? He just goes investigating around the town to see who's an alien and who's not with these sunglasses on. It's honestly a pretty funny scene, and Roddy Piper plays it off very inconveniently. And it's some of the best moments in this. And the alien designs are pretty unique and pretty original from what you see in black and white. But later when they're in color, they look a little bit more professional, I would say. But this leads Piper into some trouble, and he brings a lady involved in it too. That would be played by the famous Meg Foster. Roddy convinces Meg that there's something going on and convinces her to help him. There's a lot more that happens behind this, but I don't want to spoil it. I know that this movie's from the 80s, but still, I'd rather not spoil it for everybody. So anyways, Meg Foster helps out Roddy Piper. In a very good scene, Foster convinces Piper that he's going insane. to the point where Piper considers it, but rather he throws it out and says, I'm not going insane. This is really happening. All you have to do is wear the sunglasses, which makes him look like an insane person, but to a very good degree, Piper plays it at his best. But when he tries to convince his friend Keith David, you end up having a wrestling superstar voice across a freaking world renowned voice actor. And yes, it's as glorious as you think it is to watch Keith David and Rowdy Piper punch each other. It's metal as fuck, and it is just amazingly fucking beautiful. This movie needs to be seen just for this scene alone. After Piper convinces David that everything that is happening is real after he puts the sunglasses on him, David is convinced and he ends up joining in Piper's cause. Yes, I know these characters have names, I'm just gonna call them by what I want to call them. So anyways, he's convinced and Piper ends up having Keith David join his ranks. But in my opinion, this is where the movie kind of takes a dull turn. Because, well, it's just Piper and David doing nothing else but talking with one another, getting character development, but not much else. So they end up joining a cult, if you can believe it, of the churchgoers as well as other people, where they believe everything else that's happening to them. It's honestly kind of like a pretty funny highlight of the film, and pretty much everybody's like, we're convinced that aliens are here. So everybody goes after the aliens, so to speak. Mainly the broadcast signal. So they end up going to the aliens' hideout and end up finding it out. And you want to know what ends up happening? The best thing of all. Everything starts going haywire. But in a very confusing note, the aliens showed them everything. Showed them how they work, showed them how they live, and showed them how they control everyday lives. Sort of like, here's the key to my house in case you want to rob me. The ending is a big shootout, and of course, John Carpenter is a big guy of these, and he does actually do a good job. And to play in point, Carpenter does like using shootout scenes in a lot of his other films as well. But the ending, at least to me, isn't good. I don't like it, and I don't really find it satisfying. I know a lot of people are big fans of this film, and I will probably talk about why I think it's a big major film, but namely, the ending is kind of confusing for me, and it wasn't something I liked in the movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this movie, it's just the ending that really gives it up to me. What makes this film worth it is the man himself, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Piper plays this off like he's a big major action hero, and from interviews of John Carpenter, Piper wrote a lot of his own one-liners and a lot of the dialogue and asked Carpenter to use them, and this was the best decision ever.
Get out of there, I call the cops. Call the cops? You know what you need? You need a Brazilian plastic surgeon. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And a ball out of bubblegum. Oh, good. Got him. Think you saw shaving this morning?
Nonetheless, They Live is a sci-fi classic. Well, sci-fi thriller horror classic. If you haven't checked it out in the terms of Roddy Piper, and even if you're a wrestling fan, it's highly recommended. Or if you just like sci-fi thrillers, it's still recommended. This is one awesome movie, and it's guaranteed to have a blast, including with some friends or a lovely lady by your side. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching my review. If you liked it, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let me know how you think the review went, and tell me if you like They Live, and if you haven't checked it out either. And also, if you're a wrestling fan, tell me your favorite moment of Rowdy Roddy Piper. The best one that I can think of is when Roddy Piper himself went up against Mr. T. That's an interesting match that ended in infamy. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on the next Lazy Cinema.